Hello.
Welcome. We have Angelica, Lynn, Paige, and Jeff. Yay. I was trying to do the Facebook thing and again having trouble, so I'm just not even going to worry about it today. How is everybody?
A little tired today. Don't know why.
Paige, I think you're the only one that's not muted, so I'll ask you. How are you?
I just was super tired today.
Super tired.
I don't know why, because I got like 8 hours sleep and I was just totally dragging. So I was looking at my chart going, okay, what, like the moon is squaring my sun? Like what's going on?
Yeah. Well, the humidity takes it out of you. It's really
Okay.
humid right now here in Tucson. We're in monsoon season.
Are you have humidity in Tucson right now?
During monsoon season, yes.
Ah, okay.
And
Okay, I'm in Chicago, so humidity is summer.
right.
So, yeah, and I never think of Arizona. I've been to Arizona, Phoenix, and Tucson several times, and I never think of it as humid. Yes, I have. I've been there every season.
Every season. Well, there's monsoon season.
Ah, I didn't think it started this early. I thought it was later, but yeah,
June
it's not like I live there and know the seasons that well.
Right.
My mother lived there for a long time.
Yeah, 4th of July is the start of monsoon season.
Oh, I thought it was June 15th.
June 15th.
That's what I had heard. Yeah. June 15th to September 15th.
So normally it's really dry here, but not now. So it's only in the 90s right now, but it's super humid. So got my AC going. Paige, remember how the other day I was saying how I hadn't had anything with Mercury retrograde happening? Usually my phone, well, my phone refuses to charge.
Oh no.
Yeah. So for the last 2 days, yesterday it was fine, but 2 days before that, so Sunday and Monday, no charge. Today, it's only charged 10% all day. So it's like, I spoke too soon.
Oh no. I ordered a grounding mat off of Amazon for my mom,
cool.
and it comes with 2 wristbands and 2 charging or 2 grounding cords.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take one of the wristbands, but I'm going to make her use the mat.
Oh, cool. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah, she's going to roll her eyes at me, but when she starts sleeping better, I think she's going to thank me.
That's right. That's right. Well, normally I have a topic picked out and have a presentation prepared, and today I don't. So we're just going to talk about astrology and the transits, and we can talk about the eclipses we just had. Mercury stationed direct on the 12th, so it will be in its shadow phase until the 26th. So we've still got a couple more weeks of that. So does anybody have any questions or anything you want to talk about, or want to know where these transits or eclipses hit your chart?
I think I wrote down the eclipses last time, but I don't know where I wrote them down.
So on the Meetup, on the Learn Western Astrology Meetup page in the discussion.
Yeah,
good. Yes.
I found it.
There's a list. This was from last month's Meetup, and it has all the dates and the degrees of the eclipses. So just briefly, the one in January was at 19 Cancer. The June 5th eclipse was at 15 Sag. Then June 21st, solar eclipse at 0 Cancer on the Aries point. And then July 5th, lunar eclipse at 13 Cancer. So.
I'm still a little unclear about how those eclipse points are sort of reactivated when a planet comes along and pings them. Like let's say that, well, there's nothing going on in Sagittarius for a long time, but so let's say the one at 0 Cancer, like when Mercury goes over that eclipse point, is that something that we need to?
It's a trigger.
It's a trigger, okay.
Yeah, so it's sort of like you have a bruise, you know, and it's a sensitive point. And when a planet transits it, it might be a conjunction, it might be square, it might be opposition. It doesn't have to be an exact conjunction. It's like somebody's pressing on that bruise.
Okay.
A sensitive point, and you can feel it.
And so that'll manifest in depending on which house it's in?
Yeah.
Okay.
The house would be the area of life that's being affected by that by the transit and by that point.
Okay.
So where does everyone have Cancer in their chart?
I have it on my first house, but the June 21st eclipse sat exactly to the minute on my Uranus, which
Wow.
is in the 12th. Yeah, but you know, I was looking at what had happened 19 years ago when it was at 0 Cancer 10. So it was just 11 minutes from being perfect on my Uranus. And in 2001, I was having a fabulous time. So, but now the the other planets, of course, were in different positions. So I'm sure that had an effect as well. But, you know, I'll be watching for what's going on this time because it is perfect.
Right.
And so far, I've noticed nothing other than, you know, I do Akashic record readings and astrology. So I'm thinking, and it seems to be taking place, that it's actually activating a lot of 12th house activities, which is good for
and
me.
You said it's on your Uranus?
Yeah.
Okay, so the unexpected.
Yeah, except so far
hidden.
nothing has happened that's been unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, it's been pretty calm.
Right. Well, eclipses have an effect not only for the 18 years of the cycle, but 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
The month before and then up to 6 months after the eclipse itself.
Yeah.
So it may not be exactly on the day of the eclipse.
Right, and that's what makes eclipses so difficult, is
Right.
you have to remember them.
Right. And that's why at the start of the year, I make a note of all the degrees of the eclipses and where they are, and kind of keep that in the back of my mind when things are transiting, see what's going to hit those eclipse points.
Yeah.
So if you're not speaking, you might want to mute your microphone if we're getting some background noise here. There we go. Thank you. Hi, Frank. Welcome. Mohammed, welcome. So we're just talking about astrology in general. I don't have a plan for this evening like I normally do. The heat got to me, I guess. So we're just discussing where the eclipses were and saying where that fell within our chart, like where we have Cancer, Capricorn, and Sag in the chart. Like what house is that affecting? I have Cancer rising, so that's my first house, 7th house. Sag is in my 6th house. You know, first house is your body, your beingness, your persona, and my body is expanding. Right?
Is that good?
Not necessarily what I wanted it to do. So now I decided yesterday I took my measurements and I've been working out. It's not like I totally am a slug. I do ride my bike every day and do yoga, but I put on some jeans. I don't have a scale. So I thought, how am I going to know if I'm losing weight? So I tried to put on some jeans. I got them over my butt, but I couldn't get them buttoned up.
Half my wardrobe doesn't fit right now.
Right? What's that, Mohammed?
I really thought you were talking about your body is getting bigger spiritually. I didn't actually.
Well,
That's
my
a very
astral
positive
body,
attitude.
My etheric and my astral and my pranic body, all of those, yes, those are expanding as well. But physically, my Annamaya kosha is expanding.
Is there a correlation between the two?
Well, they're all interconnected. I mean, I'm a yoga teacher, so we talk about yoga philosophy. There's the physical body, the pranic or energetic body, mental body, your values, and then Ananda, which is bliss. And they're all, it's like a Russian doll, but you can't take one out and not have the others attached to it. They're all connected. You know, so yoga is the union of body, mind, and spirit. Whatever you do physically is going to affect you emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So it's not you do something on one level and it doesn't have any effect on the other ones. It all has an effect.
So if you like to eat something and this thing is not healthy, you eat it, you're happy. but it's not good for you. Is that good for our spiritual well-being? Or?
Well, if your body's not happy, technically you're not happy. Your palate may like something you eat, but let's say you're a diabetic and you love sugar and you crave sugar, you eat sugar all the time, eventually you're going to get sick, like really sick. So yeah, your body, your palate might be happy that you ate something, but down the road, if you're not healthy, it doesn't matter what your spiritual values are, your body's not healthy. It's all tied together. So we're at a time of reset where we get to look at like, what do we do to sustain life on this plane? And is it sustainable? And for the large part, it hasn't been. So this is kind of like a reset button that we get to try again of how we're going to live our life, how we're going to make our money, how we're going to source our food, how we're going to distribute that food, how we're going to take care of our health care. Healthcare starts with each of us. And especially with all these planets in Capricorn right now, it's like the systems are being shuffled around. The government, the infrastructure, everything is being shuffled around right now so that we can determine what's best for us in the long run. Because the way it's been isn't working. It's not working well. So, anybody else want to chime in on where the eclipses were happening in their chart?
The one in Sagittarius was maybe a degree and a half away from my moon in Sagittarius.
Okay. So your emotions.
Yeah. They've been up and down a little bit.
Right?
Just
a tad.
Just a tad. Just a smidge.
Yeah. Okay. What house is that?
If you're using the cook, it's 7th house.
Okay.
Yeah, not helpful.
Is that the house system you usually use?
Yeah, well, because you said that's normally the one you use. If you were looking at whole sign, it would have been my 8th house. So.
And the reason why I use that house system is because I'd read somewhere that when a planet goes into a house based on that system, it has, and you notice it. So like when Uranus was about to leave my 10th house and go into my 11th house, like I wanted to know when is that happening based on the Koch system versus Placidus.
Yeah.
But I mean, try out different house systems and see which one suits you better. Like there's equal houses. Some people say after the Saturn return, you're supposed to use equal houses, and that way all the angles are the same degree. I did that for a while, and then I switched to Coke, and I might switch to something else. I have Gemini moon, so
yeah,
I like to flip flop.
I've been watching those astrology videos from the astrology school in Denver, and they use whole sign, and which to me it just kind of throws everything off compared to what I'm normally used to seeing, and so it's different. So, but I do try to sort of keep that in the back of my mind. Like when I look at where Uranus is now, I'm like, okay, it's in my 12th, but it could also be in my 1st.
Right. And they all have validity.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like if people don't know their birth time and I'm doing a chart for them, I'll set it for like, I'm a Leo, so I would set it for 0 Leo, right? And you can read it, what would be a solar chart instead of a natal chart, and it still has validity. I think not as much as a natal chart would, but still, like you can still get value from it. Anyone else where the eclipses are getting your chart, or where they did?
I've got Cancer in my 11th house.
Okay.
In Lilith actually, and I'm a Sag Sun also.
So were the eclipses close to the degree of your sun? 15 Sag?
I am not sure, honestly.
What's your
I'm
birthday?
still fairly new to it.
If you were born in the middle of the season, like if the Leo season starts on July 22nd and ends on August 21st, let's say. So if you're right down in the middle, then that would be 15 degrees.
I think I'm at 14 degrees, if I'm
Okay.
understanding this correctly.
Uh-huh. So then the eclipse was right on your sun.
Yes.
So there might be a change in who you are as an individual. Like you might have some big epiphany or decide you're going to take a totally new direction in life or stop doing something and start doing something else. Have a complete.
That's exciting.
Sometimes. Sometimes not so much. Okay. Frank, do you want to jump in? You have anything to add? I don't see a microphone for Frank, so maybe he's not connected. How about you, Jeff? Anything to add to the conversation?
Yeah, Cancer's in my 12th house.
Okay.
At about, let me see, 26 degrees.
What's at 26 degrees?
Cancer in the 12th.
That's the house cusp? Like the 12th?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. My Mars is in my Cancer at the 26th, like with the eclipses.
Pardon me?
My Mars is in Cancer at 26 degrees
Oh, okay.
in the 12th house.
Okay, so the eclipse was at 0 degrees, so that would be
Mhm.
26 degrees away, so that's kind of wide.
Mm-hmm.
It's conjunct by sign, but not by degree.
Mm-hmm.
So it's likely that the eclipse was hitting in closer to your first house. Probably.
Okay.
Cool. Anybody else? I'm gonna share my screen here. Let me see if I can pull up did a chart for today. Let me see if I never know what pulls things up and what doesn't. So I'm gonna pull this up on my screen and see if I can share it.
Yeah, we can see your screen right now. Oh, well,
Oh, you
no, we
see
can't.
like
For
all
a
of,
minute,
all of my everything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to show you this. Can you see that? You see
Not
a
yet.
chart?
Not yet.
No,
It went away.
it went away. Okay. Let's see. Share screen. Here we go. Now do you see a chart?
Yes.
Yay. That says transits July 15th. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So still have that party happening in Capricorn with Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. So Jeff, that would be in your 6th house. Right, so your work, your daily routine, health and wellness, diet, being of service, that would be affected. Where else do people have Capricorn in their charts? It's in my 7th house.
That's in my 9th house.
9th house. Okay, so your philosophy, higher learning, long distance travel.
My worldview has changed a lot over the last few years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's in my 7th as well because my ascendant is 1757 Cancer. So
Okay.
these have been in my 7th house for quite a while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I had a change in partnerships, both romantic and business, in the past 2 years. I mean, my rising is 4 degrees Cancer, so Pluto's been in my 7th house for probably a decade.
Yuck.
Ready for it to move on, but then it's moving on to my 8th house. I'm like, oh, great.
Mm.
No, one thing, it's another.
Well, as long as you go with the flow, it
Yeah.
won't be so bad. That's the biggest thing with Pluto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a saying in yoga that whatever you resist persists. So don't resist. And then there's nothing for it to push against. You just accept whatever is, and it is what it is.
And that could be the motto for Pluto, quite honestly.
Yeah, well, it's transformation. So it's like transformation is going to happen whether you're open to it or not.
And if you're not open and you resist it, it's still going to happen, and you won't have any control over how, which is much worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So Uranus is at 10 degrees of Taurus. This just moved into my 11th house recently, so new groups. It's a money house, so I could get unexpected money. I've been doing a lot of astrology readings lately, especially since March. It's like I thought, oh, nobody's going to have any money to get readings. Not the case. I've been like doing readings out the wahoo, and I don't know if that's because Uranus is now in my 11th house. I don't know, but it's fine by me. Where is Taurus in y'all's houses?
12th.
12th house. That's
Just
right.
5 degrees away from my ascendant.
So Uranus is 5 degrees away, or Taurus is 5 degrees away?
No, my ascendant is 15 degrees Taurus, and Uranus is at 10 degrees Taurus right now.
So it's moving up to it.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I've got Taurus in my 9th house.
In your 9th house? Okay. So your philosophy could undergo a change, your worldview, like Paige said.
I've already noticed that happening too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Since it moved into that house, or prior to that, or?
Just prior.
Just prior.
As it was moving in, yeah.
Yeah. Well, for the outer planets, I think there's about a year where you start to feel the effects, right? As it's moving up to that change of house, probably a year out, you start to feel it. You know, and then it retrogrades, so it's kind of in and out and in and out. And then once it's fully in the house for good, then it's like solidified. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Got Taurus in my 10th house at 3 degrees.
Taurus is in the 10th house, so your career. Have you changed careers lately, or have you thought about it, or changed jobs?
Yeah, I've been studying for a new career. Yeah.
Well, it just left my 10th house, so I recently went through, and I don't know if you guys know how to read an ephemeris, but you can look up where planets are when. So I looked at like when it went into the 10th and then when it left, and I saw my like 2 what I call real jobs that I had as office managers and like businesses instead of working for myself. Like one was at the start of when Uranus went in my 10th, and then just as it was leaving, like I left my last real job. It was like they're kind of like bookends on either end. As I had a real job, and then I worked for myself, and then I had a real job, and now I work for myself again. So, funny how that works. And lots of unexpected stuff too, because it's Uranus. So, okay, anybody else? Some dad? Okay. Let's talk about Mars. Woohoo! So this is a Western astrology group, but I do study Vedic astrology, Indian astrology a little bit. And I was watching a video today by Joni Patri, who is from my hometown of Dallas, Texas. And she was talking about planets in what's called Gandanta. And that's the last few degrees of a water sign and the first few degrees of a fire sign. And she was saying that Mars is going to be in Gandanta planets 3 times because of its retrograde. And for us, it's in Aries. But in Vedic, it's in Pisces and then comes back to Aries. And so it's like August, mid-October, and then right before Christmas. What Gandanta planets are is it indicates drownings. And that woman that just died from Glee, Nita Rivera, I think her name was. I looked at her chart to see if she had any Gandanta planets. Sure enough, she had Uranus at 1 degree Sag, drownings. And in her video, she was talking about, she predicted I think it was Hurricane Harvey. And she was saying, like, almost to the day, she predicted that it was going to hit. And it hit Houston first and then Florida. There was another hurricane like a week later and hit Florida. And she was saying how she predicted this because of these planets. So it could be hurricanes, it could be tsunamis, it could be like COVID in a way is drowning because your lungs fill up with fluid, pneumonia, and you can't breathe, like the lungs aren't expanding, contracting, and so people drown from their own fluids in their lungs. So be aware of mid-August, mid-October, and then around the holidays in December for these type of things happening.
Right now, there's some massive flooding going on over, I think, in China or Japan.
Oh,
That part of the world, like just really, really massive flooding like they've never seen before.
I hadn't heard of that.
I saw it on the news the other day.
Uh-huh. Wow. So from the Western perspective, Mars in Aries, Mars rules Aries, so it's strong there, but it's going to be squaring all of these Capricorn planets, which not going to be fun. Paige and I were at an astrology group that met outside, socially distanced, Saturday night, and we were talking about the election, and of course Mercury is stationing direct on election day, which to me says we're not going to know the winner clear cut, kind of like the Bush-Gore thing. There's going to be a question about it. So there might be a period of time where there's an unknown of who the next president is. And I have a feeling that whoever it is, the other half of the country is going to be pissed and is likely to riot. Right? So we're already starting to see what could be a civil war in the United States. And with Mars and Aries squaring all these planets in Capricorn, I think we're going to see an uptick in violence and divisiveness and people taking sides and claiming their side is right and the other side's wrong, and hot-headedness and aggression, and especially with people being all like cooped up at home. Domestic violence is on the rise, kids being abused is on the rise because people are like at each other's throats without an outlet. Financial insecurity, food insecurity, all these things add up, and we're likely to see more crap hit the fan the closer we get to the election and even afterward. So it's important for us who can read these symbols and understand this language to do what we can to take care of ourselves, like to stay grounded, to stay present, to do our spiritual practices, to realize that all of this is happening for a reason, like it's coming to pass and it'll change. That's the nature of the reality on this 3D plane is change. Nothing stays the same. And the planets show us that as they go around. But not to let ourselves get caught up in the BS and do our parts as light workers, as people who understand the esoteric arts, that all of this is happening for a reason and that good will come out of it, even though it doesn't seem like it. But that good will come out of this as part of this change of evolutionary process we're going through. Questions, comments on Mars? We've got about 10 minutes left.
Well, I think it's also noteworthy that on the 27th of June, transiting Mars was at 0 Aries, so it squared the eclipse point from June 21st of 0 Cancer.
Correct.
So yeah, there's some pretty dynamic energy that's coming into the eclipse energy as well.
Right. And the 0 of any of the cardinal signs is called the Aries point, which is a world point. So things that happen on that point like have a worldwide effect. So the eclipse was at 0 Cancer. That's an Aries point event. And as you mentioned, Mars ingressed Aries at that time. So it's kind of like it's now a trigger point of what happens in the future. So every month when the moon comes around and hits that point, you know, it's kind of like it's a trigger point. Whenever any of the other planets are transiting that by whatever kind of aspect, it's a trigger point. Yeah. Do we have any Aries in the house? Aries sun sign?
My mom's an Aries, so I'm kind of worried about her, but
She have high blood pressure?
no, actually she's in fairly good health.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool. She have Mercury there as well? Venus?
Probably. Let me check. Let's see. No, well, what am I looking at? Oh, hang on. I was looking at the outside, so the inside. No, her Venus is in Taurus, and so is her Mercury.
Okay.
They're both in Taurus.
So Venus is strong there. That's nice.
Yeah.
Chart ruler.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, I don't actually know what her rising sign is.
Oh.
I
mean, not chart ruler. It's ruler of Taurus.
Yeah, ruler of Taurus. Yeah. So it's in its domicile, or what do you call that?
Right.
Yeah.
Domain. Yeah.
Domain. Yeah.
It's home. It's in its throne room.
My mother has excellent taste.
Okay. Good.
Everything about her is beautiful. Her home, her clothes that she makes, her car, everything is beautiful.
Oh, okay. Nice. So does anyone have any questions about their chart? A few minutes that we have left. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Or call me for a reading.
I have my Mars at 6 degrees in Pisces.
Uh-huh.
I'm not exactly sure how that would have an effect with anything right now.
I'm not sure what the question is.
With the Mars being in Pisces in the 6th house, I'm not sure if that would be affected by what's going on at all.
Not really, because the transiting Mars is in Aries, so that's about 36 degrees apart, 30 degrees apart, so it's not a heavy-duty aspect. It's not affecting it that much. None of the eclipses were in the mutable side. Well, it was in Sagittarius. It was at 15 Sag.
Is it possible that the Cancer eclipse might, what degree is your Mars? Because you might have a trine going on.
6.
6?
Yeah, 6 degrees.
Oh, okay, it's a little wide, but
Kind of wide.
yeah.
You've got a trine with Mercury right now, but that'll only last a few days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Is Chiron still retrograde
Chiron just turned
through
retrograde.
December? Okay.
Yeah, through December. But Chiron is retrograde like 50% of the time. So is that even a big deal with Chiron?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Like the outer planets are retrograde 40–50% of the time anyway, so it's not a thing. Well, right now Mars is conjunct Chiron. Chiron's at 9 and Mars is at 10 of Aries. So it's kind of like our wounding is coming up, right? Like we have this drive to heal ourselves because it's in Aries, so it's a personal thing. It's our self. And healers. We can focus on people in the healing, especially like surgeons, because Mars, especially Mars in Aries, is metal, surgery, like surgical precision.
I wonder if, because it's like, if it's in Aries, which is about the self, and a lot of people are being very militant right now about what their rights are, and so they're not wearing masks and they're getting sick.
Yeah.
So they're wounding themselves
Yes.
by demanding their own rights.
Right. Mars conjunct Chiron.
Yeah.
Good point. All right. Well, we're running out of time, so I want to thank everybody for joining me. If you have
Thank
any,
you, Debbie.
you're welcome. If you have suggestions for topics that you'd like us to cover, just send them to me through the Meetup app. If you'd like a reading, I'm available for that. I'll post this recording up on the Meetup page if you want to go back and listen to it. And I thank you all for joining me. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a
Bye.
good night.
You too. Bye-bye.